do you think that the wine tastes differently because you're going through a totally different process? These chemicals and things that are sprayed on the grapes, or that's then say absorbed in this plant, do you think that changes also the taste of the wine?
I believe so. I think, look, in winemaking, we speak about this term terroir, which is kind of an amazing ability where wine has where wine has the ability to reflect where it's from. So if a vineyard is planted at a certain aspect at a certain altitude, it has the ability, and on a certain soil type, the wine has the ability to reflect that. And when we speak about terroir, traditionally, it's always kind of been the climate, the aspect, the altitude, the soil type. These things influence your terroir. But something that we've realized also has a big effect on that is your soil health and your soil microbiome. And we kind of saw that firsthand when we started converting to biodynamics and the life started coming back to the soil. We had one block of Sauvignon Blanc, which was always very homogeneous, very uniform. We used to harvest the whole block together and it all looked the same. Once the life started coming back to the soil of that block, the block started changing completely. The one side became a lot more vigorous. The other side kind of stayed the same to what it usually was. And then the grapes just started tasting differently from these two portions. And then we started harvesting them separately, and the resultant wine also had a day and night's difference. And there's nothing, we didn't change anything else. Mm-hmm. The only thing we changed was the way we farm. And so I do believe it definitely has an effect. It has an effect. That's the soil life has got such a big role to play. And if you speak to people, they say you can pick up a liveliness within the wine. And look, in winemaking, I think our biggest goal is, at least mine as a winemaker, and I hope other winemakers would agree, is that we sit with this amazing thing, terroir, and the biggest goal of a winemaker is to be able to reflect where the grapes come from and to do it in an honest way. And I believe that this way of farming truly does that to the utmost extent. And then of course the way you make the wine has also got a role to play. But at the end of the day, everything starts and ends with the grapes you receive.
But now, when we're talking about the winemaking now, what is the process for you then? How you make the wine? So do you use natural fermentation, or do you add?
Yes. No, so I use all natural fermentation. Look, the way I like to think about it is, Johan and Ishan, there's so much effort that they put into farming the grapes. It would almost be like a sin if I had to go into the winery and try and tweak the wine in the way that I would like it to be. So I tend to work quite hands off, just so I know that the resulting wine can be as much of a reflection of the grapes. So I only do spontaneous fermentations. I tend to work a lot with older oak, so as the oak doesn't have too much of a role to play. And if I work with newer oak, it's all very lightly toasted oak, so there's no really oak toastiness to the wine. And then I still work with sulfur, but I tend to work with it very cautiously, and try to work with it in a very responsible manner, as to not to kill the wine with sulfur, but I still want to keep a purity within the wine. Which, if you want to do that, unfortunately, you need sulfur, because it's our only preservative that we can use. And then the rest, as I said, it's all just straightforward. Spontaneous fermentations on the red wines. I also don't want to extract too much, because the way I like to see it is that it's It's like when you make a cup of tea. If you want to make a good cup of green tea, for example, you can't leave the tea bag in the water for too long, or the tea leaves, because otherwise you just over extract and you just get a bitterness, which is not pleasant. And I kind of view red wine making in the same way. I think you're naturally going to extract everything that you need to extract. As soon as you start overworking the wine, that's when you start extracting the things that you don't necessarily want in wine. But that's in a nutshell kind of the philosophy when it comes to the winemaking.
Yeah.